booming Amazons, Lam.
Okay, so Tolu sent the program for today, and what happened was I saw there was a part that said the Be Found story. And I was saying to myself, I have several stories in my very short life. What particular story would I share today that would inspire you, that would bless you? And I decided to title it, My Story of Divergence. My Story of Divergence. About, I think it was in 2014, there was a movie that was released called Divergent. Who watched the movie? Did you like it? Fantastic. So in the movie Divergent, just a summary of it, broken down, the people were broken down into 5 different factions. So you had the amity, they were the kind people. You had abnegation, selfless. You had candor, the honest. You had dauntless, the brave. Erudite, the intelligent. And you also had the factionless. So what happened was, when you were 16 years old, you go through some psychology test, and then even if you were born in, let's say, the faction of the erudite, you do the psychology test, and then they determine whether you were fit to continue in that faction. So if you passed the test, you stayed there. But if you passed the test of maybe candor, for example, you would move from that faction and you move to another faction, and that's how you continue with your life. Now, there were 2 sets of people that had an issue. It was those that were factionless. So they did the test and they didn't pass any of the tests. So they would put them somewhere else and they were just allowed to stay in poverty. And then there was the divergent. And the divergents were basically good at everything. They could fit into any of the factions. And because of that, they were kind of like hated, criticized, they were feared, people didn't understand them. And the erudites then were the ruling class of the factions, and they would do everything possible to try to shut the divergent down. So you'd find that if you had the potential of being divergent, you'd find a way of just boxing yourself. And you can imagine how frustrating it is for somebody who knows that they're divergent, having to box themselves in maybe candor or something of that nature. So those were the 2 sets of people, the factionless and those that were divergent. And I remember when I watched the movie, I was like, yes. It wasn't all the parts of the movie that really got to me, but that aspect basically helped me articulate some of my own personal frustrations as to certain things that I felt I had inside of me, and looking for expressions in different aspects of my life, but it seemed like that there was something wrong with me. That why would you be this and be that? Why should you, who says you can, you should just be, this is what you are. And I'm like, okay, no problem, let me try to fit into that box. But it was very, very frustrating. I remember, I think I saw one of my classmates here. Relayo, are you here? Relayo, is she here? Yes, Relayo is here. I remember in Adesewe College, I went to Adesewe College, Kwara State, in Offa. And I remember struggling with making friends. I was always trying to fit in. I remember trying to learn Hausa because I love Hausa language. I think it's just just beautiful. I was born in Kano State, but that's not the reason why I like Hausa. I just love the language. And I tried learning Hausa, but I had friends that purposely said to themselves, don't teach Angela how to speak Hausa, because if she learns how to speak it, then she is going to know, thank you, then she's going to know what is. Okay, then she's going to know, what we're talking about, and we really don't want her to be, in that box. So I would do everything to please people. I was always trying to please people. For some reason, it just didn't work. I'm not sure that I'm certain that I wasn't one of those people that was necessarily liked or loved per se by students, because for some reason, I just seemed to do a lot of things right. So I was the student that teachers loved. I was the student that you could call upon to do stuff and I'd deliver. I didn't really give excuses. I basically just did things as well as I could. And that didn't necessarily give me the support that I felt I would have gotten from people. Stay with me, I'm getting somewhere. It also got worse. I remember also in SS2 when, because the secondary school would send you over to Jos. There are 4 leadership training centers in the whole of Nigeria. You have the Mountain School in Jos, you have Desert School in Yola, you have Forest School in Port Harcourt, and you have Sea School in Lagos. And the standing at Adesoye College was in SS2, you had to be sent there for leadership training, and I remember our parents signing this letter that if we came back and we died there or something of that nature, they were not going to sue the school, because we were literally given some military, kind of training. And I remember, going there, and everybody came out with, of course, a certificate and also getting a badge of attendance. And there were only 3 of us who got an outstanding badge, 2 males and 1 female, Angela Omeza. Then also during graduation, I think there were about 14 different awards that were given, and I think 12 or so I took the awards. In as much as, coming out and, okay, the best student for this, Angela, I'm going back, best student, Angela, it was just, and people were clapping, and I would literally hate myself. I'm like, why me? Why do I have all of these things inside of me? Because the more you're calling me out, the more other people are getting upset with the fact that Angela. So I was always trying to fit in. I needed to, to do that, to give you that, scenario. And Andrew Smith is an author, and he said that people fear what they do not understand and hate what they cannot conquer. So, ordinarily, when you are placed in that situation, you might not necessarily get all of the love and support the way you think you would, in as much as you're doing what God has asked you to do, or you're doing what you're skilled at it. Sometimes you might even have to act in a certain way just because you want to fit in. And there was one time, I know I heard this clearly, and it's like, Angela, why are you trying to fit in? Why don't you just stand out? Why don't you just be who you are called to be? It's not your fault that you have these things inside of you. So that's the same question I'm asking you. What is that thing that you think God in his infinite mercy looks at you, created you with all of these things inside of you, and then you say, no, because I don't want people to hate me, I don't want people to look at me this way, let me just shut it down. And the earth is waiting for you to be. Waiting for you to be who you were called to be. So for me, I had to make that decision that I was going to stand out and I would just do what I am supposed to do. One of the questions I'm asked a lot is like, Angela, how do you handle all these things that you do? Radio talk show host, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an audio producer, I run several businesses. I still practice law, but not as a litigator, but as a solicitor in my own way. How do you handle all of these things together. And I want to put it in these two thoughts that I named my fear and my struggle. My fear and my struggle. So I have a fear, or I had a fear. I'm not sure if I'm still afraid of that. Let me think about it. So I had the fear, and it is getting to a particular age and realizing that, oops, there were several opportunities my way that I did not take because I was afraid of whatever, or I had given myself several excuses. That was my fear. My fear was getting to the age of 35 or getting to the age of 40. I was born on the 1st of September 1985, so I'll be 33 this year. So getting to the age of 35, 40, and looking back and saying, I had all of these opportunities to bless the lives of people. I could have taken this up, but I did not. I did not take it up because I was afraid, and I lost that time, and that opportunity will never come my way again. That was a major, major fear of mine. I had the chance to interview someone I really respect, Olakunle Shoriyan. He's a futurist and thought revolutionist. And he made a statement on his Twitter handle. I asked him, it's almost something similar with what Chimamanda did, to Hillary Clinton, asking her a particular question and then using the term, I'm upset. Why? So Chimamanda used the term upset, and that kind of like upset everyone. And and I could relate with what Chimamanda did, because with Olakunle Shoriyan, he made a statement on his Twitter handle and I had a problem with it. But I didn't ask him, why would you say that? I'm upset. I just said, can you please explain what you meant by it? And honestly, that opened my mind to a whole lot. And it had to do with the aspect of people saying, oh, please don't waste my time. Don't waste my time. I'm trying to manage my time. And he said that you cannot waste time. You cannot manage time. Who do you think you are? Time is infinite. From the foundations of the world, we've heard 2,000 years ago, Jesus came to the earth. We are still on the earth. We're still going to be living. We're going to die. Time will continue except Jesus comes back again. How many years? I did a Google search, I think 2 days ago. And I was trying to find out the oldest person still living. I'm not sure I got that answer, but I got someone that died, but he lived up to, and I think the highest I saw was 127 or so. So 127 years, let's say that is what you even have. Or let's add it to 150 years that you're going to have, if you're saying I don't have faith. But he explained it as, you are so limited in your life, in the sense that maximum 150. So how dare you say that you want to manage time, you don't want to waste time, that the only thing you are going to do is to waste your life. Is to waste your life. So if you don't want to waste your life, you have to manage your life. So there's nothing like time management. It is life management. And when he just said that, I was like, wow, okay. Thank God I didn't use the term upset, And I'm like, okay, I see where you're coming from. And that really helped me. So linking that with the fear that I had of what age am I going to get to, realizing that I don't have all the opportunities anymore, and God has given them to me for the benefit of society, for the benefit of, you can say society, family, people around, the nations, the world, your world, however you want to say it. Then you just want to give excuses as to why you will not be. And I think the greatest, women, we give so many excuses. It's so sad. It is so heartbreaking. We give so many excuses. We use our children as excuses. We use our husbands excuses. We use our parents. We use every other person except looking inward and looking and saying that we are actually the problem. So many excuses that we give every time. And so because of that, I also know that there's a time I did a show on radio, and I was looking at the term regret. And there's a study done on people that were on the dying bed, and they asked them what they regretted the most. 90 to 95% of them did not mention the bad things that they did that they regretted. What they regretted was what they did not do. It's like, wow, I wish I did this. I wish I did this. I should have. Do you know how painful it is to get to that point and say, I should have. Oops, I'm out of time. So that was my fear. And that leads me to my struggle. Remember, I'm talking about the aspect of divergence, my story of divergence, and that leads me to my struggle. And my struggle was, if I don't want to go through this fear, or if I don't want to get to that point in my life, and I'm looking back, and that means I might take quite a number of opportunities. I might be very daring, like the Dauntless. I would just jump from, I don't know how they did that. Even to jump from here, can't try that. And I had to be bold to do quite a number of things. And at that point in time, I was not thinking that I had to, cut off the what if it didn't happen, and to ask myself, what if it actually happens? Instead of saying, what if it doesn't work? What if it works? Can you trust God that He knows what He is doing, and just take that leap? So my struggle would always be the struggle of balance. So that's my struggle every day, trying to balance things out. Okay, yes, I'm going to have to do this, but I need to balance this out so my children would not, suffer in this aspect. Or, okay, I need to take up this particular opportunity because there are hundreds of people there that need this to work. But, okay, while I'm doing all of this, this is suffering. So, okay, let me calm down a bit. Let me go this way. I accept my struggle of balance because of who I have found myself to be. And how do you face your fears? How do you face your fears? Dr. Chi talked about, of course, prayed for us concerning, those of us that are afraid of just taking that leap. How do you face your fears? You face your fears by facing your fears. I don't know how else to tell you. You face your fears by facing it. I was in one of my mentor's office, and his secretary took a car, drove it, and bashed it. And then I had to call him on her behalf because she was literally feeling, okay, I'm going to die here. And I spoke to him. He was like, don't get involved in this, blah, blah, blah. So I said, sorry, and I left that. But then she came to me and she was like, oh, am I going to? I'm like, just face your fears. Think about the worst case scenario in this aspect. What's he going to do? He's going to shout, he's going to do this, he's going to... So you have to face it. It's like, this is what he's going to do. Bring it here. If he shouts, what do I do? If he doesn't shout, what do I do? Okay, so he might deceive me in the fact that he's not shouting, but one day he's going to bring it up. What would I do in that situation? That's how you face your fears. So that eventually when it comes, you already have thought about it and you just move into action or you move into play. So that is how you face your fears. So in giving the excuses as to, okay, I'm not sure I have what it takes to be this, to be that. I don't know if just be and trust God that even in the mistakes that you make, He is going to turn it for good. Because you are moving in the fulfillment of His word. So it's not just you. You are moving in the fulfillment of his word. So trust God to help you through, to direct you, even if you are in that kind of situation. So that is my fear and my struggle. And I put down here that, do you think that all that is inside of you is just for you? It's not just for you. It's for quite a number of people that you have no clue about. Do you know, I've stopped thinking about how God is going to do things. I've stopped it. There was this interview, I was interviewed somewhere, and they asked me, oh, so, do you think about money maybe when you want to start? I'm like, I don't need to think about where the money is going to come from. I just need to have that idea, and I just need to desire it, that it's going to work. I need to do my homework. I need to run it by the people I need to run it by. It needs to make sense. Grace of God is upon my life. What is money? It is going to come. So I don't think about those things. Right? So I did a countdown of the numbers of people I got to talk to within the hours of 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. on WeFM 106.3. That's when I'm on air. Mondays to Fridays. So I talked to 4 to 5 people every day. 4 to 5 people every day. So if you say maybe 5 people multiplied by 5 in a week, and that's 5 times 5. That's 25. 25 times 4, I believe you get 80 or so. 25? No. Where am I getting 25 from? 5 times 5 is 25, right? Okay. And then, sorry, I'm not divergent in math. So you get 25 times 4, you get 100. 100 multiplied by 12, that is 1,200. Jeez, and here I wrote 920. That's bad math. Okay, I think I was calculating wrongly. Okay, so 1,200 people, or maybe I was doing the calculation based on 4 as opposed to 5. Okay, so 1,200 people that I get to speak with, that I spoke with in a year. And I was like, wow, I spoke to these people, I engaged them in a year, and what? Are we just gisting, like, hi, and then you just go? Our paths met for a reason. So I was very deliberate. I am very deliberate in what I talk about on air. And even with these people, I started to say, God, why me? I have the access to speak to 1,200 people in a year. Then I cannot just take that for granted. I remember someone asking me the question, Angela, why did you go into media? You're a lawyer and everything, why media? And, and all. And I said that I remember praying one of those days and saying to God, God, what platform can I have? What platform can I speak upon so that I can raise certain issues, raise key issues that people don't want to talk about, people push aside as not important, to raise these issues up so that there could be a Matthew that hears Angela speaking about it and then says, wow, this is what God has been calling me to deal with. Or there is a Fashola, not a minister, let me use another name, Femi. Okay, no, we don't have a Femi. There's a Femi who listens to a particular issue that is raised and says, I know a Bolanle that has billions of naira somewhere, and talks lightly to a Bolanle, and Bolanle was spoken to by, Angel Gabriel in the night, that you see this money, you can't use it here till I give you a sign. And that sign comes up. How God decides to do his thing is his business. You just be. Just be. And I really want to thank God because I think it was earlier on this year, I saw my guests speaking with each other and, really gisting and talking. I was like, oh, you've met maybe Bobo or so. It's like, Angela, we met here. And they moved on to be great friends. I can't tell you how many people, based on just coming on the show and connecting with each other, they moved on to be great friends, and they're doing amazing things together. So if I was supposed to be here to connect those two, God, let your will be done. Two major stories that happened that, really touched my life was a lady who had never spoken to her husband that she was sexually abused by her uncle who was staying in the house while she was 4 years old and also while she was 6 years old. She had never spoken to her husband before. So she agreed to speak with me on air about it. Never spoken to anybody before. And she decided, okay, I'm going to trust Angela. Let's talk about this because I have to let this go. So she came, she spoke, she didn't say her real name and everything, and basically just told us the story. And we had to do a part 2 because it was not a funny thing. The time we did the part 2, she came back, and because I didn't want to have to repeat all the things that were said, I brought back what we had recorded and played it. And there and then, the second time, she put her face down. Then she started to cry, and I asked her, I was like, why are you crying? She said, just hearing it all over again just brought back shame. Shame. And there's this quote let me quote myself now. I said, carry your shame with pride. Carry your shame with pride when you have decided to move on. Just move on. Society will find their way. They'll catch up. They'll catch up. And from that day, birth a particular, well, you might not call it a ministry, because now maybe I should ask Rema, how ministry falls into, but yes, for her. Because she now ended up being an advocate for children that are being abused. She's presently one of the writers for Bella Naja on child abuse. And when I saw her article, I was like, wow, amazing, amazing. Just because you decided to be who you are supposed to be. Others, they find themselves. You need to realize that it is not for you. So stop being afraid. Be yourself. The other one had to do with a young lady who became a widow at the age of 32 or so. And we also took up her story, and she talked about it, talked about how people, just looked down at her. Other married women, did not want her around their husband. Because, I think, men seem to have soft spots for widows. And there's nothing wrong with that. So the women just got very, would treat her shabbily, even in the compound that she was in. So she just talked in general, and she was looking for a place where people could come together, widows come together and receive some form of, healing. Let's talk, let's counsel with each other, and there was nothing like that. Right from there and then, the same thing she decided to do was to start something for widows. And that's how she's gone. She's doing the same thing at the moment. Because of time, I can't tell you about the other issues that I've been able to raise in relation to mental health. There's a project I'm working tirelessly on. I'm tired of seeing people commit suicide. It's becoming so rampant every day. A very close person, I don't even want to mention her name, made a post recently on social media filming something from the bridge. And I was there thinking that, she was, because I had to send her a message, you shouldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't even know that she was contemplating suicide. As I was chatting with her, I had to call another friend. Call her, go meet her. So, be is all I'm saying you should be right now. And take that step. And stop being afraid. Embrace your authenticity. I love that. I think it was Kunle Sharon that says that a lot. your authentic, and there's this way he would say it, and it's like, yes, boxed up. So I have here that there's a need for a TTA to set this up, for an Angela to come and speak, and for a bosse to hear it and say, I'm going to be released from this bondage of fear, and I will be. Be found is the theme. There is this, I'm going to wrap this up now by reading a particular prayer that I wrote on social media. TTA, I can remember you actually shared it. I thought it would be great to, oh God, goodness me. I'm reading this prayer so that you can also write your prayer from today. A particular prayer of yours. I'll read this and wrap up. I said, I hate sickness, disease, and poverty with a passion. I hate watching humans live like dogs. I detest the misplaced priorities of our leaders. I am saddened by the mental degradation that comes to young, vibrant people due to depression. I am angry at the ignorance of men who don't see that there is a link in how our society degenerates if women are not given every opportunity to offer their own quota to the development and sanity of society. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Lord, raise leaders, men and women, who will stand as saviors in Nigeria, saviors at home, saviors at the workplace, saviors in the marketplace, saviors in industries. Use me, Lord, in whatever capacity that you feel fit. Use my tongue to speak truth and engage in conversations that would enable me raise issues that ought to make the news for the needed attention. Use my eyes to see what others refuse to see and link my eyes to my tongue. Use my money to go where I can't go and be an expression of you to heal and to bring succor. Use my strength to engage the youth and inspire them to be. To be. Use my mind to fight the unseen battles and channel my energy to where you please. Use my smile to break through barriers of men and women so they speak and break the culture of silence that has destroyed them and eaten away their lives. Use my platform to connect needs to opportunities, that values may be exchanged to enrich lives. Use my creativity to show the world how great you are, that they see that you are limitless through me and cannot be boxed in. Use my trials, my pains, my hurts, disappointments, and sorrow to show how merciful and gracious you are, to yet still use a mere mortal like me who has always desired to be a vessel of honor, that you alone may increase and I decrease. Humble in your hands, that you found me worthy, worthy of the master's use. Lord, use my anger. I can get angry. Lord, use my anger and frustrations to create, for as you saw darkness and created light, you saw formlessness, you birth a form. Let my sight and vision create, for I am indeed yours. Amen. I think basically this is where I'm going to end, encouraging you when you leave this place, even right now and all, that thing that is holding you back, just trust God and go into the place of prayer. You don't need drama. Just talk to him as your father and share this, Lord, I am afraid. I am afraid that if I do, but I trust you, help me. Write that prayer down. Because for me, one of the things I also wanted to raise here, Titi, I'm sorry, this is the last bit, was when my my pastor, Pastor Shalade, so he traveled to Uganda. It was Uganda, yeah, Uganda and Kenya, and then he went to one of the museums. And in the museum, there was a part where they put the vision of the museum. They put it in like a box or somewhere, and it was keyed up. And they were planning to open it in 2030. The aim is to open it in 2030 and read what the vision is, that's then, and see whether it aligns with what they were doing presently. So for me, I've been reading this prayer. I'm like, okay, am I in the same light? Am I still following that same path based on all that is inside of me that I want to do for God? So lastly, please, go and watch the movie Divergent. You see my point there. And do not be afraid. Be who you are called to be, and God bless you.
Blooming Amazons, Lamb.